My name is Sophia, and at 28, I find myself at a crossroads in my life. I've been living with my boyfriend for about 8 months now. Tell me, if you can, what you thought of my story in the comments. Our modest home, inherited from my grandfather, gives us the privacy we need, even if it's not in the best shape. We dream of a beautiful wedding and a honeymoon in Chile, but for now, I've taken a job at an electronics store downtown to help us save. The work is simple, attending to customers, answering messages on social media. Most of the time, it's monotonous, especially during slow hours. That's when I often find myself chatting with Mateo, a handsome 37-year-old manager. He has a way of making the dull hours fly by. Mateo is charming, with a quick wit that keeps our conversations lively. I often catch myself stealing glances at him, admiring how he carries himself, the way he laughs, the way he seems to light up the room. I know it's innocent, but I can't help the little flutter in my stomach when he walks by my desk. One day, after the store had emptied out, I noticed Mateo working late. An idea sparked in my mind. I casually walked over to his office, leaning against the doorframe, my heart racing. "Hey, Mateo," I called out with a playful smile. "You've been at it for a while. Need a break?" He looked up, surprise flashing in his eyes. "Sophia, I didn't expect to see you here. What's up?" I stepped inside, letting the door close behind me, creating a cozy little bubble just for us. "Just thought you could use some company. It's awfully quiet out there." He chuckled, shaking his head. "You're right. It's almost too quiet." I leaned against his desk, my gaze lingering on him. "You know, I've always admired how dedicated you are. It's inspiring." Mateo's expression shifted, a hint of mischief dancing in his eyes. "Inspiring, huh? I guess I should take that as a compliment." I shifted closer, a playful glint in my eye. "You really should. Most people would crumble under this kind of pressure." He laughed, but the sound was laced with something deeper. Maybe they just don't have the right distractions. The tension in the room grew palpable. I could feel the air thickening between us, charged with unspoken words. I was aware of the effect I was having on him, the way he leaned in slightly, his attention solely on me. "Distractions can be good," I said softly, letting my gaze drop to the floor for a moment before meeting his eyes again. "Especially when they're unexpected." Mateo studied me, his expression a mix of curiosity and intrigue. "I think unexpected distractions can lead to interesting conversations." I bit my lip, suppressing a smile. I like interesting conversations. As we continued to banter, I felt a thrill run through me. Every word we exchanged felt laced with something more, something that danced just out of reach. I could sense his interest, the way he looked at me, and I couldn't help but lean into it. Eventually, I knew I'd have to return to my desk, but I lingered a moment longer, enjoying the warmth of his presence. "Maybe we should do this more often," I suggested, my voice low and teasing. "Definitely," he replied, a smile spreading across his face. I could use the distraction. With that, I slipped out of his office, heart racing, knowing that this was just the beginning of something exciting. The chemistry was undeniable, and as I returned to my responsibilities, I couldn't shake the feeling that our playful exchanges were leading us somewhere unexpected. The days passed, and each time I saw Mateo, the spark between us grew stronger. Our conversations became more charged, filled with playful innuendos and shared laughter that lingered long after our exchanges. I found myself looking forward to seeing him, not just during work hours but also in those quiet moments when we could steal away together. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm glow through the office windows, I took another chance. The store was nearly empty, and I noticed Mateo deep in thought, reviewing some paperwork. I couldn't resist the urge to interrupt. "Busy day?" I asked, leaning against the doorframe once again, my heart racing at the thought of being near him. He looked up, a smile breaking the seriousness of his demeanor. "Just the usual. But it's always better when you're around." I stepped inside, closing the door softly behind me. "I thought I could help lighten the mood," I said, my tone playful. Mateo raised an eyebrow, his interest piqued. "Oh. How do you propose to do that?" I walked closer, letting my fingers lightly trail across his desk, feeling the tension crackle in the air. "I could tell you about my day, or maybe share a secret." "Secrets are interesting," he replied, leaning back in his chair, a smirk on his lips. "I'm all ears." I took a deep breath, feeling emboldened. "Okay, but you have to promise not to laugh." "Deal," he said, his eyes locked onto mine. "I've been thinking about our conversations, and how much I enjoy them," I confessed, my voice barely above a whisper. "I feel like we have something special, don't you?" Mateo's expression softened, and he leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. "I do. There's definitely something here." The moment felt electric, and as I took a step closer, I could see the desire flicker in his eyes. "What if we took this outside of work?" I proposed, my heart pounding at my boldness. "Just to see where it might lead us?" He studied me intently, the air thick with anticipation. "Are you sure? It could complicate things." "I think it already is complicated," I replied, a smile tugging at my lips. "But that's what makes it exciting, right?" He chuckled softly. "You're right. Exciting is one word for it." As the tension hung between us, I felt an undeniable pull. I leaned closer, the warmth of his body inviting me in. "What if we just explored this?" I suggested, my voice low and enticing. Mateo hesitated for a moment, then reached out, his fingers brushing against mine. "I'd like that," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, filled with promise. We spent the next few weeks navigating this new dynamic, our playful banter escalating into deeper conversations. I found myself sharing more about my life, my dreams, and my fears, while he opened up in ways I never expected. Each interaction felt layered with meaning, and the chemistry between us ignited a sense of adventure I hadn't felt in a long time. One evening, as we were closing up the store, I suggested we grab a drink after work. Mateo agreed with a grin, and we headed to a cozy bar nearby. The atmosphere was relaxed, and the dim lighting added to the intimacy of the moment. Over drinks, we laughed and shared stories, the conversation flowing effortlessly. With each sip, the walls between us crumbled further. I could feel the chemistry crackling in the air, and I knew we were treading into dangerous territory. "Do you ever think about what could happen if we crossed this line?" I asked, my heart racing. Mateo leaned closer, his eyes locked onto mine. "All the time," he admitted, his tone serious yet playful. "But sometimes, those lines are meant to be crossed." My breath caught in my throat, and I felt a rush of excitement and fear. What if we just let it happen? I proposed, my heart pounding. He smiled, a glint of mischief in his eyes. I'm not opposed to the idea. But we have to be careful. Careful is my middle name, I teased, though I knew I was playing with fire. As the evening wore on, we shared lingering glances and subtle touches. I could sense the tension building, the unspoken words hanging heavy in the air. It felt thrilling, intoxicating, and dangerous all at once. By the time we left the bar, the night was alive with possibilities. As we walked side by side, the world around us faded away. Mateo turned to me, his expression earnest. Sophia, whatever happens, I want you to know that I truly enjoy our time together. I smiled, feeling my cheeks flush. Me too, Mateo. I really do. As we stood outside the bar, the night air cool against our skin, he took a step closer, his gaze searching mine. Are you ready for this? I nodded, feeling a mix of exhilaration and nerves. I think I am. In that moment, everything else faded away, and it felt like we were standing on the edge of something beautiful and unknown. The possibilities were endless, and as I looked into his eyes, I realized this was just the beginning of our adventure together.